Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first show of The Rundown, the #1 rated sports show by absolutely everyone. I'm Chris Hicks.
And I'm Jake Salvi. And to kick off the new show, let's start on a big game coming up. Siena will be traveling to Albany today to play the Albany Cup. Taking a look at Albany's season so far, they opened their season with a loss to Army West Point, 67-59, and they won their next two against SUNY Oneonta and Dartmouth by good margins. The Saints have taken to a 3-0 record to start the season, and in those three games, two big overtime wins. One against Brown, 72-71, and one against Bryant, 90-88. They also took a convincing win against American, 74-66. And the new-look Saints team, coached by Jerry McNamara, is exceeding everyone's expectations. Players like Brendan Coyle, Justice Schultz, and Major Freeman have really taken their game to another level so far. And Siena's only one win away from equaling their win total from last season. What better game to do that than the Albany Cup?
The Albany Cup is a matchup between Siena and U-Albany basketball. It's one of the geographically closest Division I rivalries in the NCAA. Siena has the all-time lead over U-Albany, 11-8. However, the past 15 years, the Great Danes have the edge over the Saints, winning 7 of the last 11 matchups. Last year, U-Albany got the best of Siena with a dominant 86-51 win. This year, the new-look Saints come to take back the Albany Cup and continue their undefeated streak. This year's matchup has some big wagers between the schools.
That's right. President Chuck and U-Albany President Javidan Rodriguez have made a bet for this year's Albany Cup. Let's take a look.
My name is Javidan Rodriguez, and I am the president of the University at Albany.
And I'm Chuck Seifert, president of Siena College.
This Saturday marks the return of the Albany Cup. Capital Region fans have been waiting all year.
That's right, Avidan. Saints and Great Danes are ready for a great game, maybe an unforgettable one.
I couldn't agree more, Chuck, and you know we had to make a friendly wager on this.
Oh, we did, because when Siena wins, you're going to be lighting U-Albany's Carillon Tower green for Siena.
Nice try, Chuck. That's not going to happen because when we win, the Siena Dome is going to be glowing purple, right, Damien?
We'll see about that, but either way, this is going to be a game for the books.
You're absolutely right, and we're going to show everybody what makes U-Albany and Siena fans the best.
Game on, Avidan. Go Saints.
Go Great Danes!
And that was some very interesting stipulations between the top dogs of both schools.
Yeah, hopefully the Saints can get it done. I would hurt my heart to see the Siena Dome lit up U-Albany colors.
It would hurt my heart too, but with the way we've been playing and Jerry at the helm, I don't think the boys will let last year happen again, so I think the Saints take it home 75-65.
All right, I agree with you. I think the Saints are going to take the dub, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I'm going to say 74-70. Siena's going to take the W. So we heard from some of the presidents of both schools. However, how about some of the people on the court?
Well, we were lucky enough to have our own Nicolette Cash sit down with some of the Siena players. Let's take a look.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight for these interviews. Okay, BC, so you obviously were a returner from the past 2 years. How have you seen a difference in this year's prep as opposed to last year's prep?
All right, I feel like the energy this year has just been different. Energy's been at a very high level, and we've had a very mature approach to getting ready for the game every day in practice, and I think that's translated so far.
I know you both have played in the Albany Cup. Obviously, you're on Albany the past 2 years.
Yep.
How do you guys feel playing this Albany Cup on the same team as opposed to against each other?
I'm excited. I mean, I played with this guy for a long time now, probably about like 3-4 years. So it's my guy. I happy to be on the same side with him again and ready to attack them with my brother. So
Definitely. Looking forward to it.
Is the only reason you came to Siena was to play with BC again?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's my guy.
Major, this is your first Albany Cup.
I know how big it is for the city, and for me, I'm just excited.
So you were the preseason second team All-MAC pick. What does that mean to you?
It's definitely a blessing, being the fact that I haven't played, or preseason I haven't played a Division I basketball game yet, but just excited as well for that.
What has this week been like prep-wise for the Albany Cup?
I would say every day we just go after each other. I think that's why we started off hot and why we'll continue to just put the best of us forward. We just go at each other every day and we just approach every day like it's its own and separate them and make sure we're just working hard every day. And I think that's really what it's about, is just being 1-0 every day. So.
What do you guys think?
I mean, as he said, winning every day. We battle every day together, and I think that shows. I think we're a very tight-knit group, and I think that comes from us going at it every day.
Definitely just every day, just making each other better. I mean, that was showing.
Sure. What does it mean to you guys to win the Albany Cup on Friday and bring it back to Siena?
It means a lot. I mean, for me and BC being from the area, it's something that we've seen and been a part of since we've been young. And I just think being able to bring that home here to Siena would just mean a lot, and we're just very hungry for it. So
definitely would be great to have it back on Siena this year. I've had it once, he's had it once already for different teams, and I think now it's time to bring it back here together.
For sure, I know how big it is to these guys, Siena alone, and I'm just excited. I want to bring it back for my guys.
How does it feel for you to be playing in the Broadview Center again?
It's definitely going to be a little weird at first, but I'm excited. I mean, I got a couple of good friends, brothers that I made over there that are still there, so I'm just excited to get after it and excited to get the W.
Do you think you have a leg up because you played for Albany and you kind of know their game and their style?
I think we have a leg up because we go so hard. I wouldn't say necessarily that, but I just think we prepare every day and we make each other better every day, and I think that is all you could do. That's all you could ask for. So.
Sure. How do you guys view this Albany Cup game differently than any other game this season?
I think you just got to take it as it's the next game on the schedule. Obviously, there's a lot of meaning to the city and everybody at the game, but I think you just got to take it as another game on the schedule.
I think BC said it best, just taking it as the next game on the schedule. But at the same time, we would love to have the cup back.
Definitely.
Major, how has it been transferring from JUCO to Division I?
It's been fun, actually. With the great coaching staff, my brothers, they just made it fun and exciting.
Speaking of the coaching staff, I know you're wearing Jerry Maxwell's number. How does that feel for you?
I wore the number in high school, but knowing that it was his number is a different meaning.
Do you think he puts any pressure on you at all or anything like that?
Nah, not at all. I mean, we work every day at practice, so the pressure would be there if anything.
Do you feel any pressure because you transferred to Siena playing against your old team?
No. I'm just excited to really just go back out there. We're having fun together as a group, as a team, and I think that's enough for me. I love this team, and we're just so close, and we're just so excited to get after it every day. And I think it's just another game, just be 1-0 that day, and I'm just so excited.
Nice. BC, I know you're one of 4 returners on the team. How has it been meshing together with this new team, and is it a different feel for you, or?
Yeah, it's definitely been exciting. I would say, G-Max talked about it. Ever since June 3rd when we all got here, it's just been kind of right away. We all clicked right away, and we all bought in together, and I think that's showing.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for this time. Good luck.
Thank you.
Joe, Maggie, and Matt, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Nicolette. It's the first of many. I'm Maggie Miller. Alongside me today, I have Matt Coloma and Joe Lemery. Should we get into it?
Let's get it. Let's
go. All right. It was the battle of the top NFC East teams last night in Thursday Night Football. The Philadelphia Eagles absolutely exploded in the fourth quarter against the Commanders, the final being 26-18. So not the finish the Commanders and Jaden Daniels wanted to see. So, Joe, why don't we start with you? As both of these teams head into Week 12, what is working for those two teams, and what do you think they're lacking that is not getting them where they need to be?
Well, first off, let's start with the Eagles, right? I mean, this was clearly won by them. They controlled this game, and the story to me is Saquon Barkley, right? 26 carries, 146 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns. Talk about a dominating performance, right? Jalen Hurts, he managed the game. And I think this year that's kind of been the storyline for him. He hasn't been that MVP player that we know he can be. Obviously, we saw the year he led them to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. One could say he outplayed Patrick Mahomes. But Hurts really hasn't been anything truly spectacular for this Eagles team right now. But ever since Nick Sirianni shaved his head, the Eagles have been doing really well. And I think all Hurts needs to do is just manage the game at this point. He's got the weapons, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and obviously this team runs the way Saquon runs, no pun intended. He's been elite this entire year. If he continues to be elite into the postseason, I think they have a chance to go all the way and win the Super Bowl. Now, if we look at Jaden Daniels for Washington, This was really his first poor game, quote unquote poor, but still a clear-cut Rookie of the Year in my eyes. And I think Washington, they're probably not ready to take that leap, and I think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're simply not ready. Dan Quinn has done an outstanding job, year one as the coach, doing his thing, but I think it's just time for Washington, and they really held their own against a really good Eagles team.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you there. Jaden Daniels, clear cut. Rookie of the Year front runner, right?
In the MVP conversation.
And the MVP, yeah, might as well put him in there. I think the biggest issue last night was they just got none of their receivers involved. I mean, it looked like it was just check down after check down after check down, and I think you have to, attribute that to the Eagles secondary. I mean, they went out, they got that kid, the Quinyon Mitchell, right? They got Cooper DeJean. Their secondary this year has been elite. They've been locking up elite receivers all year. Terry McLaurin last night, 1 reception, 10 yards. Could not get involved. Austin Eckler had 8 receptions, so out of the backfield. So Jaden Daniels didn't really look to stretch the field, and I think that's where the Eagles took advantage. And like you were saying with Jalen Hurts this year, yes, he has been more of a game manager, and that's really all the Eagles have needed. But I think you can attribute that to the fact that A.J. Brown's been banged up. Devonta Smith has been banged up. Jalen Hurts has really only been working with Barkley consistently this whole time. And Saquon Barkley honestly should be also in MVP conversation. He's been the best running back in football. Maybe Derrick Henry's in that argument, but Saquon Barkley is making the Giants pay for not re-signing him.
Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, so let's move on to what everyone will be talking about. The 2 big dog teams cracked down on Sunday in Buffalo. The Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, and Travis Kelce, and the Bills with Josh Allen, James Cook, and Khalil Shakir. The Chiefs have been plowing, but so have the Bills, winning their last 5. Now, Matt, I want to hear your take. Do you think the Bills will spoil the Chiefs on their home turf in Buffalo?
I don't. There's just something about this Chiefs team, man. 2020 Steelers, they're very similar. They find a way to win. And, I think they're going to continue to do that. I could totally see them going undefeated into the playoffs. I think this is seriously the best chance a team has had in recent years. Not to say that I don't think the Bills can win. I just really, truly believe that the Bills are going to win against the Chiefs this year when it matters. And I think the playoffs. Josh Allen is 3-1 against Patrick Mahomes in his career and the Chiefs. However, 0-3 in the playoffs. I think the narrative flips this year. I think Josh Allen is actually going to get that win this year in the playoffs. I have the Bills going all the way, coming out of the AFC. I think this is their year. They added Amari Cooper at the deadline. However, I still think the Chiefs find a way to get it done. I mean, just that defense, Trent McDuffie, Nick Bolton. I mean, they have some serious playmakers on that defense. And then the offense is good enough right now. Obviously, they lost Rashee Rice early on. They still don't have Isaiah Pacheco back. But Kareem Hunt, they re-signed him. He has really stepped up. This guy's put up a couple 90-yard games since being back. Travis Kelce is finally playing to form. Juju Smith-Schuster might be coming back. They're going to get Marquise Brown for the playoffs. So they have weapons. They got DeAndre Hopkins. It's just a matter of can they get the offense to click like it has in years past.
Look, I got Buffalo coming out of the AFC as well. I don't think the Chiefs are going to win this game. Their 9-0 streak is coming to an end, and here's why. Look, Mahomes, he's actually averaging a career high in completion percentage, 69.5. 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's not a very good number for supposedly the best quarterback in the NFL. Still top 5 in QBR, I understand that. Signing D-Hop, huge for them, and that's going to pay off in the playoffs, I guarantee it. Juju, back in practice. We'll see if he plays this weekend. Pacheco, we're still not sure. But this is more about the Bills than the Chiefs. Bills are 8-2. Dalton Kincaid ruled out for the game, I understand that. But Josh Allen having an MVP season, probably his best season statistically right now. And the Bills have really strong pieces on defense, and they've been doing so without Matt Milano. And we don't know when he's going to come back. They added Amari Cooper on offense. Khalil Shakir has been outstanding. Keon Coleman, he was out, and they're still doing their thing. So this Buffalo squad, along with James Cook, they got the pieces to get it done. And I really think this is the year. I think they're going to beat the Chiefs in the regular season, and honestly, I think it's theirs to lose in the playoffs.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to roll on to the next one. The Ravens head to Pittsburgh Sunday, and both of these teams haven't lost in 1 whole month. This will be the game that determines who is taking over the AFC North. Now, Joe and Matt, the Steelers are your boys, but I think we need to discuss the elephant in the room, Mr. Lamar the Eraser Jackson. Now, Joe, what matters most at this point? Winning a Super Bowl or looking for that MVP again for the 3rd straight year?
Oh, it's Super Bowl, and no question. It's not even close. I mean, Lamar Jackson's the MVP frontrunner. Let's just get that out of the way right now. He is clearly the MVP favorite. Josh Allen, slightly behind, and I'd say Joe Burrow, 1, 2, 3. The Steelers have had the Ravens card as of late. I mean, Lamar Jackson, 1 of 3 all-time against Pittsburgh. Granted, he's been injured a handful of times, not been able to play against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh also hasn't seen a Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry duo in the backfield, so that's going to be new for them. They also still have Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Bateman. So Ravens have a lot of weapons, and this has been the most weapons they've gone up against Pittsburgh in quite some time. Now, the Steelers also have a top 3 defense that's been playing extremely well in the NFL, one of the best teams with points allowed. Russell Wilson, I am beyond, regardless of us being Steelers fans or whatever, beyond proud of Russell Wilson. This guy, with everything he went through in Denver, coming into Pittsburgh now under Tomlin, 3-0 as the starter, when Justin Fields, 4-2, very easily could have still been starting the season. There's a lot of questions, and Russell Wilson has answered the call. 6 touchdowns, 1 interception in these 3 games. The offense has been clicking on all cylinders. I haven't seen this offense this good since Big Ben. Signing Mike Williams with Pittsburgh has been huge. I said this before. I think Mike Williams is going to be one of those X factors for them down the line if they're in the postseason, if they make a deep run. Mike Williams alongside George Pickens, Calvin Austin, Pat Freiermuth, they have Van Jefferson. They have unlimited weapons on offense, especially at the wide receiver position now. You have Jalen Warren, Najee Harris. Russ has his options. And I think this offensive line continues to get better. It's been a weak spot for them for the past couple seasons, but they're continuing to improve. I think this is going to be a close game with the Ravens. However, Pittsburgh is at home. I'm taking them in a close one. Winner of this wins the division.
So I'm going to agree with you on the point of the Steelers' offense is clicking. I mean, this is the best offense we've seen probably since, the Killer Bees, right? We got to go all the way back to 2016, 2017 to see an offense this good. Because even that 2020 Steelers team, the offense was just kind of I think the key to the Steelers winning this game is going to be on the ground with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. You're going to have to control the football, keep the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands. It's the only way you're going to beat Lamar is if the Ravens offense cannot get on the field, because this Ravens defense has been a weak spot. On the other side, Pittsburgh's defense, phenomenal. However, have they seen Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson backfield, you mentioned this. I mean, this might be the most dynamic backfield ever. We're talking about now in terms of all time, this may be the best quarterback running back duo of all time. Going back to the point with the Ravens Super Bowl and what's more important, Lamar winning his MVP or getting a Super Bowl, I think it's absolutely, I'm going to agree, it's the Super Bowl. Going to baseball, Mike Trout. He's a guy who, he's been one of the best players in the league for the past decade. However, there's this narrative growing around him that he hasn't won the big one, and it's not looking like he's going to win the big one anytime soon. Lamar Jackson's only 27. He has time, but granted, given his play style, how long is his career going to be? Given his injury history, how long is his career going to be? This is a guy, he might only have 7 years left, right? And those last couple years of his career, he's not going to be as good as he is now. This is the best version of Lamar Jackson that I believe we will ever see, and I think this is the year they have to get it done. So I think that's why I'm taking Baltimore. Despite being a Steelers fan, I'm taking Baltimore 24-21.
I think it's going to be a really close one. I think we're going to be in for a little bit of a classic defensive battle here, like in the old days, where it's 16-15, one of those
weird
pound
scores.
for pound games. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, but I think really could be a coin toss either way.
Yeah. So staying on the flow of football, it is a weekend packed filled with division rivalries, more specifically, in this case, the San Francisco 49ers and Seattle Seahawks. The Pacific Coast teams are playing head-to-head Sunday in San Fran to compete for higher spots in their division. If we take a look back to October, the Niners squashed Seattle 36-24. And in that game alone, Niners quarterback Brock Purdy made 3 touchdowns and 10 incomplete passes. But if you were to look at Geno Smith and the Seahawks, he misplayed the ball 22 times. Now, Matt, I would really like to know your opinion on what you think is to come following up with what happened last time for those two quarterbacks.
I'm a little nervous for Geno Smith, quite honestly. With his play this year, he's reminding me a bit more of Jameis Winston than he has Geno Smith of the past 2 seasons. Geno Smith has prided himself on protecting the football. That's what the Seahawks team has done over the past few years. They've really protected the football. Last year, he only threw 9 interceptions, the year before 11. Those are both towards the bottom of the league, considering how often he does throw the ball. This is an air raid offense. The Seahawks are on a skid, and a big part of that is because of Geno Smith. I mean, you look at the game against Buffalo. Only 212 yards, no touchdowns and an interception, passer rating in the 70s. And then against the Rams, he put up numbers. He put up 363 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Along came 3 interceptions, though, against a Rams defense that honestly isn't very good. Geno Smith has to do a better job of protecting the football. That is the key to the Seahawks' success, because you look at the offensive talent they have. Jackson Smith and Jigba. DK Metcalf's going to come back eventually, right? Tyler Lockett, he's been banged up, but he's still part of this offense. Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, Noah Fant. They have a lot of weapons. And I think Geno Smith, this team, how far it goes, this team's only going to go as far as Geno Smith is able to take it. Yeah. So.
You know, I think the Seattle Seahawks need to win this game. The gap between first and fourth is small. If you look at that entire division, the Hawks are 4-5 and the Niners are 6-4. So Seattle wins this, they're right back in the division. And then every team in there is 5 losses. Like, Seattle has a shot to win this division still. And it's wide open for anybody. So this game is huge. I think San Fran probably doesn't need this game as much as Seattle does. I think if Seattle loses this, they're going to have a very hard time making the playoffs, let alone win the division. The key here is going to be running back play. Christian McCaffrey is back for San Francisco. That obviously is huge, and it helps a ton. And Brock Purdy, he's been having an MVP caliber season, especially considering the weapons haven't been there consistently. We've had some injuries, and other players have been stepping up. Juwan Jennings has been probably their number 2 option this season. George Kittle was, you talked about it, one of the best tight ends in football, clearly. But I also think on the other side, Geno Smith is just someone who's got to step up. Yes, he's been struggling, but we know what a good Geno Smith can do. He can win you a ball game. He can be more than a game manager at times. But he doesn't need to be more than a game manager. He's got one of the best running backs in football, Kenneth Walker. When he's healthy, he does his thing. Now, we don't know what the status is for DK Metcalf going into this weekend. But if they have him back, certainly a huge piece on the offense. Jackson Smith and Njigba, he's been outstanding this year. Charbonnet. Geno Smith's got the weapons. The offensive line is a question mark, and I understand that. But I think Seattle knows how much they need to win this game. It is in San Fran, and I think San Fran has gotten better. They're clicking. They have McCaffrey back, but Seattle knows how important this is. I don't see them losing this game. I think Geno's going to come in with a lot of fire, a lot of energy, and he knows he needs to step up.
I'm going to actually disagree with you there. I think the Niners are going to take this game, and I think they're going to take it pretty easily, honestly. I think this is going to be a statement win for the 49ers to show that the NFC West still belongs to the San Francisco 49ers. You talk about Brock Purdy, how good of a season he's having. That's despite Deebo Samuel being banged up, and Brandon Ayuk, obviously, when he was around, wasn't producing, and now, the torn ACL, he's gone for the season. He's found Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings, he has turned him into a very, very capable wide receiver. Ricky Pearsall, I mean, this is a guy who got shot August 31st. He was literally shot in the chest, and he's come back, and he's played great football since being back. The Niners just find a way to win, and I attribute that somewhat to Brock Purdy, but mostly to Kyle Shanahan. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, we should talk about him. He might be the best coach in football. So you look at this Niners team, they need the win, I think. I think you think Seattle needs the win. I think the Niners need this win more. They need to prove that they are still the same San Francisco 49ers that we saw in the Super Bowl last year.
All right. So I think it's time to move on to a sport you both know and love. Let's get to the NBA, fellas, and let's throw it back to Tuesday's NBA Cup slate. The Knicks and Sixers squared off in their first matchup since they met in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs last year, where the Knicks took care of the Sixers in 6 games, winning 4-2. Guys, despite the Knicks win on Tuesday, they now sit at 5-6 on the season. Now, Joe, how panicked should their fans be?
I don't think the Knicks should be very panicked at all. Look, a whole new team in my eyes because they're still gelling. Look, Karl-Anthony Towns, brand new addition to the squad. Mitchell Robinson has been healthy. I mean, quite frankly, hasn't been healthy like ever. They lost Isaiah Hartenstein, huge loss, right? But I mean, Jalen Brunson has been dealing with an ankle injury. I think there's a lot of pieces that just haven't clicked yet for the Knicks. Mikal Bridges has been underperforming thus far. We'll see if that picks up. But the Knicks got a shot, and they still have Josh Hart. They still have some of those toughness pieces. Obviously, big loss is losing Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. But there's something you got to adapt to. It's early in the season. I expect Brunson to be one of the top point guards in the East, and I think once the season comes to an end, entering into the postseason, they're going to be in that 2 to 4 range.
I think the Knicks are having an identity crisis, quite honestly. Look at who their head coach is, Tom Thibodeau, right? Tom Thibodeau is a guy who prides himself on his defense. He prides himself on tough basketball. What do? They trade Julius Randle, one of the toughest guys in the league, and Dante DiVincenzo, a guy who plays with his heart on his sleeve every time he goes out there. They trade him for Karl Anthony Towns, a guy who has a reputation for being one of the softer centers in the league. The Knicks defense ranks 19th right now, their defensive rating across the league. I know it's early, but last year it was 10th. So that has slid quite a bit, and I think you can mostly attribute that to with the loss of Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, Isaiah Hartenstein, Mitchell Robinson's out, and plugging that hole with Karl Anthony Towns. Now, another guy I want to get on is Mikal Bridges. This is a guy the Knicks trade 5 first-round picks for. This guy was supposed to come in and be the third option on this team, and he has just not done that. OG Anunoby has outshined him, which is fine. That's okay. But Mikal Bridges, he's supposed to be a 3-and-D guy. He's shooting 30% from the field this year. That jump shot is absolutely horrific to look at. So if I'm a Knicks fan, I'm looking at this team and I'm saying, well, we still have to get Achua back, and we still have to get Mitchell Robinson back. But if you get those guys back and the defense doesn't improve, I am panicking.
I think the thing with the Knicks, you can't bet on Mitchell Robinson playing. You can't.
Absolutely.
He hasn't been consistent for the past multiple years. Mikal Bridges is the biggest story for the Knicks, and I think their season is strongly dictated on whether he bounces back from this slump or not. Look, I have a lot of faith in Mikal Bridges. I think he can do what he was doing in Brooklyn, but we'll have to wait and see.
All right, so now I want to go back to the Sixers. They've had a slow start to the year, and now they're facing an uphill battle as injuries continue to mount. Now, Matt, how nervous should the city of Philly be?
Very. I mean, this is same story, different year, right? Injuries, and it's been a complete mess this year so far for the Sixers. You have Joel Embiid punching a reporter. Granted, we can talk about that another time. Joel Embiid talking about how he's never going to play a back-to-back game again. Got suspended for that. Paul George's health. Tyrese Maxey's now out. So this just really, to me, feels like the same thing we've seen since, honestly, Ben Simmons left. And I'm incredibly panicked. Now you look at the salary cap situation. I mean, they have very limited flexibility. This is likely their team for the next 3 to 4 years. And it's a team that is going to be constantly battling injury. The best ability is availability, and that's what the Sixers do not have.
Kevin Huerter. This man ended Ben Simmons' career, and he ended the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers have been atrocious in my eyes since that happened. When the Atlanta Hawks beat them in 7, Sixers have just crumbled year after year, and it's just gotten worse. Look, this is the year they had a lot of hopes. They get Paul George in the offseason, right? Tyrese Maxey, an ascending superstar, all-star caliber player. Drafted Jared McCain, who he's been outstanding. I love this kid. I think he's got future star written all over him. If you're Joel Embiid, and more likely, if you're Nick Nurse, how are you letting your best player, your superstar player, live telling people, I'm not playing back-to-backs? What message does that send to the locker room? Paul George gets hurt, hyperextends his knee in the preseason. Okay, great. Story of his life. That happened majority of the time with the Clippers. He had a shoulder injury, something going on. When is there going to be some accountability and consistency in the Sixers organization? I am so fed up and tired with year after year. You get to the postseason and you lose in the second round, and you lose in the first round. When is things going to change? Tyrese Maxey carried this team in the playoffs last season. Joel Embiid, year after year, has had some sort of knee injury in the postseason. Okay, great. You know what? Prove me wrong. If you want to sit out back-to-backs, by the time the postseason comes, if you're ready, if your knee is 100%, if you're going to average 30 like we know you can, I'm not going to say another word. But until we can see it, I don't believe it. Joel Embiid has not proven himself to do anything, and honestly, I quite think that MVP season was a fluke. It should have been Nikola Jokic. I'm fed up with the Sixers. I don't think they're going to improve. I don't think they're going to make any noise in the playoffs.
All right, well, be sure to catch a glimpse of the Albany Cup this Saturday at Broadview Center and cheer on your local favorites. That'll do it on the rundown. A big thank you to Jake, Chris, Nicolette, and Steven. This is a production of SCTV with you, Matt, Joe, and Maggie. Catch up with us again next Friday. Have a great weekend, everyone.